Is it just me, or do my eyebrows look red? I'm partially colorblind, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, what's up, guys? Welcome back. What a game week. So I got 86 points, moved up to inside the top 200K. So today, let's talk about sort of how I'm going to build on that and players that I'm targeting, as well as a general wildcard review. What would I have done differently? So let's start off with in goal. I got rid of McCarthy and I got in Martinez. I quite like the look of Martinez. Yes, he's more expensive than the 4.5 options, but he's 4.8. They just kept a clean sheet against Arsenal. Next up, they play Brighton, then West Ham, Newcastle, Wolves, Burnley, West Brom, Crystal Palace. What a long run of good fixtures. So Aston Villa, I feel like you probably should have two of their players, to be honest, at least two. I'm sort of wondering why I didn't get Watkins, and that's something that's probably the biggest mistake for me, was getting Callum Wilson in. Newcastle just didn't look great at all. I have Callum Wilson right now. I'm not too interested in him. I still think he's an okay option, don't get me wrong, but when you have the likes of Bamford, who sort of got tough fixtures, I'm still not completely sold on him, but Leeds have been creating chances for him pretty well. But Ollie Watkins on the Aston Villa team with those fixtures on penalties, like Wilson is, but better team on penalties. Probably not as good of a player, but who knows? He has impressed me. I sort of did underrate him. So maybe Wilson to Watkins is the move for me. Wilson is hurt, of course, so who knows if he's back in time. We do have a good amount of time until the next deadline, so I'm really looking at Watkins right now as one of my number one options. Zaha, solid choice. I felt like he could have had more points. I shouldn't have went with Zuma. I feel like I probably should have went for Patrick Van Aanholt. He did look good. He got a lucky assist, but I will say that he's probably not as good of an option as he was last season. Last season, he took a lot of the free kicks, and obviously we saw last game that Eze is on those free kicks. So that sort of reduces his value, but he still gets forward down the wing well, and he knows how to get some assists. And he even had a shot that he could have scored, or I want to say should have, but I would say it's about 50-50 most of the time if he scores that. So I do like Van Aanholt, and I would probably take him over Zuma at the moment. But Zuma's also on a better defense. So, and the fixtures are about even. So I think both of those are great options. I'd probably go with the Van Aanholt, just because I don't trust Zuma's goal threat that much, because he's a center back and his goal threat is dependent on corners and set pieces. So what a game for the West Ham game. That was crazy. It was just having two of their defenders in that game. It tired me out watching it. The last 5 to 10 minutes was insane. We probably won't see a game in like that for the rest of the season. Sufal and Masuaku, a total of 14 points for me. Amazing. Masuaku could have scored. He had one chance that was like an XG of 0.35 or something like that. I thought he was going to score that. But still, just, I don't know if it's lucky, unlucky. I don't know if that penalty always gets called. The penalty was, I feel for Lookman that took it, because, you know, the stigma around missing a penalty, people are really harsh on you, and it's sort of not the same as if you miss a big chance. Like if you miss a tap in, it still doesn't really necessarily feel the same, like in terms of, oh, everybody's going to be talking about it, as if when you miss a penalty, even if the penalty is like a lower percentage shot. So I really feel for Lookman here. Hopefully it doesn't impact him too much, but really that is kind of a traumatic experience, let's be honest. So, yeah, that sucks for him, but I was celebrating it for sure. I couldn't believe it happened. I put my phone down. I was just watching it. Like, I didn't have the energy to hold my phone up and watch it. I could not believe that I had watched this whole game just hoping for a clean sheet and maybe some goals or assists from Masuaku and Sufal. And I just wanted to see how they did, but I watched this whole game hoping for a clean sheet. And then we get down to the literally time added on to stoppage time. And then they get a penalty that's reviewed by VAR for a long time, and then he steps up, and I'm like, okay, I waited all this time. My double West Ham defense that I sort of took a risk on is now going to be blown in their best matchup that they have over the next, 5 or 6 fixtures. But then it happened. He missed it. I should have went with Fabianski. I had him. I was looking at the triple up there. And if I would have went with him, that would have been amazing. But I'm quite happy with Martinez. The clean sheet against Arsenal was brilliant. So, yeah, West Ham, what a game that was. I did have some points on the bench this week. Grealish and Justin. Was I ever really going to play Justin? No. I could have played Grealish over Zuma or Wilson, but I think the more likely option would be that I would have just like benched Zaha. Oh no, Calvert-Lewin. That's the guy I was thinking about benching. So whatever, that's no difference there really. But Bruno, what a bring in. I mean, in my last video, I had him as one of my options, but he wasn't in my team. And I just decided I would be going Fornals versus Fulham. And then I had James coming in against Fulham as well. And I'm like, you know what? Fernandez over the next 2 matchups is just as good. And I can just stick the same player in there and not worry about having to, get money together to go up to a big option. So I figured it was pretty simple. I guess I just didn't want to lose the value in James. And the reason I bring this up is that James, I do think he's a good matchup against Fulham. But for me personally, James is very matchup dependent, right? So if we look at the returns he's gotten, I don't really see him getting returns in big games. He's not athletic. He's not aggressive. Like, he's very good on the ball. I do like watching him play, but he's sort of the kind of player where he needs to be on the dominant team. A lot of people will use the phrase luxury player, but he needs to be on the team that's winning the game, so it gives him the freedom to do whatever he wants. He's not like a player that can just find a way to look good in every game. I think Bruno Fernandes is amazing at that. Like, considering how bad Manchester United have been at some points, and he still looked at least okay in every game. He has missed some penalties, but I'm not talking about that. He just always finds a way to take control of the game, get in space. He's a hard worker. He's got crazy stamina, but that's not necessarily relevant to FPL. But that's just my impression of James is for FPL purposes as well as actual real life ability to play football. He's not the best at having an impact on a game when I don't know. Let's say the team's better than they are and they're high pressing, and he's got to face up against a defender. He can't really get in behind, so right away, if you're playing on the right wing anyway, this is what I'm talking about. If he's playing on the right wing, he doesn't have the threat of getting in behind, so it's just like, I don't know. That's sort of what made me get rid of him. I was like, you know what? I think the best of his returns are behind us. Sure, he'll get points, but with these fixtures coming up, I didn't really see it coming. But the Fulham game should be good for him. So hopefully he doesn't punish me too much for getting rid of him. But I did get Bruno in, so I feel great about that. Son and Kane are a big topic of discussion, as they have been really since the start of the season. So I got rid of Son. It worked out well. I do think that Son could be okay over these next couple of fixtures because of his counterattacking potential. But if you have him and you don't have like Grealish, for example, I don't see how you don't make that move. I would do that if I was in your position, because Grealish is a great option right now. For that price, it's amazing. And Son hasn't had many good chances over the past 2 games. And neither have Tottenham in general. Kane is a transfer that I'm looking at making out. He just costs a lot, and his fixtures aren't good. And they only created really the one good chance for him last game. Yeah, he had some like other shots, but he was never really going to score them. The reason why I would keep him, I mean, if you go to the FPL page and look at his player card here, he's got number 1 in influence, creativity, and threat for strikers. He's just been playing very well and getting the chances. Against Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal next. Then after that, the fixtures aren't even that good. I think it's a matter of time before most people that have him sell him. I'm really uncertain about what to do with him, though, because Man City aren't the best defensively, but they've looked better, so I don't really know how to judge this matchup at all. Chelsea look really good defensively. So I have to decide if I have a bigger issue, but I could just play this team. I mean, if we look at this team next week, they all have solid matchups. There's nothing wrong with the team. I can play Soufal and Zuma and Chilwell and Masuaku again. I can really just bench Callum Wilson if I want. And I would get rid of Callum Wilson before I got rid of Kane, right? I could get Watkins, which would be my target anyway, and that's the same price as Wilson. So it's like, I don't really have a need to get rid of Kane unless I really think he's going to play against Man City. So for me, I'm in a good position here because I'm not forced into any transfers I can hold. But I think 1 or 0 Tottenham players is the way to go. And I don't really think Son is the way to go. I think if I had Son and not Kane, I would sell. But with Kane, you may have bigger issues to put out. So I'm not sure what to say there. I think that's the best advice I can really say about that. I know that's a big deal for a lot of people. You got a lot of money in that forward position. So some of the players I have in my team, like the West Ham defenders, I don't really know if I'd get them in at this point because their fixtures are okay, but they're not great. I think an Aston Villa defender could be better. I have Martinez, and maybe if I would have kept Konza, that would have been a good idea. But I'm glad I got the points from them now. I'm going to move on. I mean, hey, West Ham have a good matchup against Sheffield United, but after that, if you're looking at getting in defenders for Sice, for example, this is why I'm talking about this. I don't think I'd go Zuma. If you don't have Chilwell, you have to get Chilwell. Wait, let's stop right here. I haven't mentioned Chilwell. If you don't have Chilwell, get Chilwell. He's probably... I've just felt this way. I mean, I haven't really looked into this, but I think Chilwell is, right now, he's top 3... I don't want to say it. Yeah, he's top 3 most essential. Because the way he gets forward, I tweeted during the Chelsea game that Chilwell has more goal threat than Ziyech, and I believe that. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, what? But if you watch the game, Chilwell gets into the box for crosses constantly. He had, 3 shots on target that game? He could have scored at least 2 of those. The one he scored was his best chance, yeah, but he had another one where I thought he could have scored. Anyway, he looks like almost better than Alonso did at some points when Alonso was an amazing goal scorer for Chelsea, playing the same position. But the way Chilwell gets forward, he's like... There's some wingers that don't even get close to getting in the box as much as he does in terms of looking to get on the ends of crosses. And it's just amazing, really. I feel like that's one reason I wildcard. I'm like, I have to get this guy in immediately because of the great fixture he had. Unlucky to not keep a clean sheet. I mean, Sheffield United started off pretty well, and they gave Chelsea some troubles with set pieces. But I also think that clean sheets are coming. It's not the best matchups coming, but they have Newcastle and Tottenham now. Newcastle looked pretty bad last game, so I'm looking at that as a good matchup. And Tottenham haven't been the most creative, so there's a chance Chelsea... Really what you're banking on is that Chelsea are a good defense. You're not really betting on the good fixtures here. After that, it's just pretty average, mid-table, like teams that can cause them problems, but again... You're hoping that they're just a good enough defense to keep a couple of clean sheets in there. And I think that's perfectly reasonable. That's why I doubled up on them, obviously. So I'm never going to sit here and say not even double up. I'm going to say Chilwell's a must, and a double up is up to you. But, geez, like Chilwell just looks so great. I can't say that enough. What a great option he is. So, yeah, Chilwell in for me. And Bruno, I'm glad I got him in this week because if I didn't... I think Son to Bruno would be the way to go. Again, if you have Son, with these alternatives, I don't see how you keep him. You could justify it because Man City can be countered. So I get that, but just knowing the emotion side of FPL, you just see these people getting points around you, and Son hasn't really got the chances yet, and Tottenham haven't been creative. But other than that, I do think it is reasonable because Manchester United... do play West Brom and then Southampton and then West Ham. But the truth is, Bruno is just a really good player. And he's a great finisher. He's a great creator. He's good at anything that gets you FPL points. He plays, he's the penalty taker. He doesn't play penalty position because it's not a position. So, Bruno, if you had the money. If not, I'd go Grealish. Maybe Zaha. Just great options. Bruno and Grealish and Chilwell. Just absolutely fantastic, really. Great value. Bruno is kind of expensive, but geez, like if you watch the game, you just see how good he is. I remember a couple game weeks back, he scored a goal that was ruled back, and it was just another tremendous finish. I really just think Bruno is just a great player. Anyway, in terms of targets that I don't have, let me see. In terms of targets that I don't have, it's got to be at that 6.5 striker price point there. Che Adams, Watkins, Bamford, all of these guys that could be good. And then with Antonio potentially coming back for West Ham, I picked Wilson, which he'll still get some points, I feel like. Not a terrible option. Good fixtures after the Chelsea game. But with especially Watkins, the one I'm looking at now, I feel like that's sort of the guy to go for if you're making a forward transfer. So, I feel like I've talked about sort of like the stars from each position after this week. and I'm lucky enough to have gotten some of them. And I'm also lucky enough to got some lucky points this week with the West Ham guys. I guess you could call it lucky. I'm not really sure. I sort of consider the Kane goal lucky, really. What a pass from Doherty. I wouldn't expect that sort of quality every game. Calvert-Lewin assist was kind of lucky too, to be honest. But I guess you could also say I got unlucky with Chelsea losing a clean sheet there. But anyway, that's just how FPL is. There's a lot of luck involved. But I'm happy this week because I'm inside of 200K, and I'm like, okay, now I've sort of got ahead on things. I got Bruno in early. Now I can like really sort of take control, and as long as I don't mess this up, I should have a pretty good run here. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, hopefully you did pretty well as well. I will probably be taking a little break over the international break. Thanks for watching. If you watched this far and you're not subscribed, you should be, as the lights just keep getting darker and darker. But yeah, I will see you next time. Thanks.